Hello everyone. In the last part, we discussed about the respiratory system of different animals like fish, earthworm, and amoeba. Today, we will take about the human respiratory system. So, in human beings, many organs take part in the process of respiration, and these organs are called as organs of respiratory system. Now, the main organs of human respiratory system are what are those? Nose, nasal passage, trachea, bronchi, lungs, and diaphragm. Actually, the human respiratory system begins from the nose. You know that we breathe through the nose. The air then goes into the nasal passage. Means from the nose, the air goes into nasal passage, and in the nasal passage, there is nasal passage. You can say is lined with fine air and mucus. You can see in this diagram. This is the nose from where the air enters into our body. From the nose, the air goes into the nasal cavity. Nasal cavity is actually the nasal chamber. So when air passes through nasal passage, the dust particles and other impurities present in it are trapped by nasal hair and mucus so that clean air goes into the lungs. So the main function of nasal passage is that to purify the air so that impure air doesn't enter into our lungs. After the nasal passage, the air enters into the trachea. Trachea, it is also known as windpipe. So pharynx is the pathway from which the air enters into the trachea from the nasal cavity, or you can say nasal passage. And now the trachea has some ring like structure. You can see here cartilaginous ring like structure which protect the trachea, which helps the trachea to not collapse when air is not present in the trachea. Means when air is not present, the trachea is a tube. Trachea is like a tube, and here cartilaginous rings are present. These cartilaginous rings helps to protect the trachea from collapsing during that time when air is not present in the trachea. So part of throat between mouth and windpipe is known as pharynx. As I told you that pharynx is the common passage for food and air. Now from the nasal passage, air enters into pharynx and then goes to windpipe. Windpipe is also known as trachea. Trachea doesn't collapse even when there is no air because it is supported by rings of soft bone called cartilage. As I told you that in the trachea, cartilaginous rings are present. Now this trachea divides into two parts, that means two bronchus, and each bronchus enter into the each lung. This is the first lung and this one is the second. So trachea divides into two bronchus. Let us see here, the trachea runs down the neck and divides into two smaller tubes called bronchi at its lower end. The bronchi are connected to the two lungs. The lungs lie in the chest cavity, or you can say thoracic cavity, which is separated by abdominal cavity by muscular partition called diaphragm. See in this diagram that these lungs are present in the thoracic cavity. These are the present in thoracic cavity, and on the lower side of thoracic cavity, abdominal cavity is present in which abdomen is present. So the thoracic cavity and abdomen cavity is separated by a membrane like structure that is known as diaphragm. So diaphragm is the separation, you can say, between thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. Each bronchus now divides in the lungs to form a large number of still smaller tubes called bronchioles. You can see in this diagram that these two bronchus now further divided into many small tube-like structures. These are called as bronchioles. These are the bronchus, this is the bronchus, and these are the bronchioles. Now bronchioles finally ends into a alveoli. You can say cotton pad like structure, means at the end of bronchioles cotton like structure is present, that is known as alveoli. So the pouch like air sacs at the end of smallest bronchioles are called alveoli. They are also known as air sacs as well as alveoli. Actually the walls of alveoli are very thin and they are surrounded by thin blood capillaries. Means, for example, this is the bronchiole this is the alveoli, Now here blood capillaries are present, means these alveoli are covered with the blood capillaries. It is the alveoli that gaseous exchange takes place, means the gaseous exchange takes place only in the alveoli. For example, from the nose, air enters into nasal cavity, after that pharynx, then trachea, then bronchus, then bronchioles, and then air sacs. And on the air sacs, as I told you, blood capillaries are present. So in this blood, carbon dioxide is present, and in this alveoli, oxygen is present. So on the basis of diffusion, oxygen enters here and carbon dioxide enters into the alveoli, and from the alveoli the carbon dioxide is removed from the same path from the body. So now, mechanism of respiration. What will happen when we breathe in? When we breathe in, we lift our ribs and flatten our diaphragm. Means when we breathe in, this diaphragm becomes flattened. When this diaphragm becomes flattened, the lungs swell up, the space between the lungs increases, due to which the pressure in the lungs decreases and the pressure outside the body was more, so that the air from outside enters into our lungs. Let us see. When we breathe in, we lift our ribs and flatten our diaphragm, and the chest cavity becomes large. As a result, because of this, air is sucked into the lungs and filled the expanded alveoli. Means when the space between the lungs increases, then the air from outside enters into the lungs. Now, as I told you that alveoli are surrounded by thin blood vessels called capillaries carrying blood in them. So the oxygen of air diffuses from the alveoli walls into the blood, means the air from this is the alveoli and this is the blood capillary. So oxygen enters here from outside. This oxygen now enters into the blood capillaries. The oxygen is carried. Now this oxygen is carried by the blood to all the parts of the body. Now this blood capillaries carries oxygen to all the parts of body. As the blood passes through the tissue of body, the oxygen present in it diffuse into the lungs. Means for example, this is the blood capillary and this takes blood to the cells of our body, you can say tissues. This gives oxygen to the tissues, and the cells of our body uses this oxygen and gives carbon dioxide again to this blood. Now this blood becomes deoxygenated and the cell uses oxygen. Now this deoxygenated blood contains carbon dioxide. Let us see here. The oxygen is carried by blood to all parts of the body. As the blood passes through the tissue of the body, the oxygen present in it diffuses into the cells. Now the oxygen combines with the digested food. We are talking about respiration, and you know that respiration is the oxidation of food. Now this oxygen combines with the digested food present in the cells to release energy. Now the energy is released and carbon dioxide gas is produced as a waste product during respiration in the cells of our body tissues. This carbon dioxide diffuses into the blood, means now the blood capillary which have blood contain carbon dioxide instead of oxygen. Now what happens, this blood carries the carbon dioxide back to the lungs where it diffuses into the alveoli, means this is the alveoli. This is the blood capillary. Now this blood capillary contain what? Carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide blood capillary give this carbon dioxide to the alveoli and then again take oxygen, and the cycle continues. So when we breathe out air, what happens? The diaphragm and muscles attached to the ribs relax due to our chest cavity contracts, means the space between the chest cavity become smaller, and due to this the contraction movement of chest pushes out carbon dioxide from the alveoli of the lungs into the trachea, nostril, and then out of the body from into the air. So it follows the same path. As the air enters into the lungs, from the same path air leaves from the lungs. Now the main important point is that during the breathing cycle, when air is taken in and let out, the lungs always contain a residual volume of air, so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and for the carbon dioxide to be released. Means the lungs doesn't become empty at any time. They contain a small amount of air always, and that volume of air is known as residual volume. As you Carbon dioxide is more soluble in water than oxygen is. This is important point, that carbon dioxide is more soluble than oxygen, and hence is mostly transported in the dissolved form in our blood. Now the rate of breathing. Actually, the process of breathing include pumps in oxygen into our body and removes carbon dioxide. Breathing occurs involuntary. Involuntarily means it occurs by autonomously. We cannot control our breathing, but the rate of breathing is controlled by the respiratory system of brain. Means brain contain a part, that is medulla oblongata. I think you remember that, and it contains a regulatory center for respiration which controls the rate of breathing in our body. So the average breathing rate in an adult man at rest is about 15 to 18 times per minute, and the breathing rate increases with the increased physical activity. Means when we are doing physical activity, at that time our breathing rate increases from this 15 to 18 times. Now the oxygen required for breathing and respiration is carried by hemoglobin pigment present in our blood. Means the oxygen which is carried by the blood is due to the pigment that is present in our blood is hemoglobin. HB, you had heard about that. So the normal range of hemoglobin in the blood of a healthy person is from 12 to 18 gram per deciliter of blood. Means in the 1 deciliter of blood, 12 to 18 gram hemoglobin is present in a healthy person. The deficiency of hemoglobin in the blood of a person reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, resulting in breathing problems, tiredness and lack of energy. Means when the hemoglobin is not present in the sufficient amount, then the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood becomes decrease, and due to which there will be breathing problems like tiredness and lack of energy. Next one is the important point, that is carbon monoxide poisoning. This is very much important. Listen it carefully. Carbon monoxide gas is formed when a fuel burns in an insufficient supply of air. You know that any fuel burns only in the presence of oxygen, and after burning carbon dioxide is released, and same process is going on in our body, that when oxygen combines with the food, it causes the burning of food which releases carbon dioxide and energy. But when insufficient oxygen is present, what will happen? The food will not burn completely. Means that any fuel doesn't burn completely. For car engine, for example, if coil is burned in a closed space, then a lot of carbon monoxide is carbon monoxide is formed, and carbon monoxide produced when petrol burns in a car engine. Similarly, hemoglobin has our body has hemoglobin, and hemoglobin has more affinity for carbon dioxide than oxygen. Means if both the gases are present in the environment, carbon monoxide and oxygen, then our body prefer carbon dioxide, because hemoglobin has more capacity for carbon dioxide. So if carbon dioxide is inhaled by a person, then this carbon monoxide binds strongly with hemoglobin in the blood and prevents it from carrying oxygen to the brain and other parts of the body. Means if carbon monoxide is inhaled instead of oxygen, then what will happen? Carbon monoxide binds very strongly with the hemoglobin and prevents the oxygen carrying capacity, due to which our brain lacks oxygen and other parts of the body, and due to the lack of oxygen the person cannot breathe properly, and if carbon dioxide is inhaled for a long duration, it can cause death of the person. So this is carbon monoxide poisoning. That's why you heard about that. We don't have to sleep in a closed room where burning occurs, because in a closed room there is an insufficient supply of oxygen, and due to the insufficient supply of oxygen, instead of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide is produced, and when we inhale carbon monoxide instead of oxygen, then our body has, due to lack of oxygen, our body get dead, or you can say it can cause death of the person. So in the next part we will discuss our next topic, that is transportation and circulation. Thank you.